Good morning, everyone. The title of my master's dissertation is Changing Plans with Determining the Transformable Capacity of the Building. The location is Goose Island, Chicago. The focus of the thesis is divided into four chapters. The first, on how Chicago responds to changing trends in industrial and housing that affect land use patterns. Chicago is a city whose contribution to industry, architecture, and urban planning is an inspiration to many growing cities. However, it is also referred as a shrinking city where its population is declining faster than its natality rate. Overall population is declining, but the neighborhood closest to the loop has experienced population jump of over 15% since 2000. The neighborhood to the west and to the south has reported decrease in population. The first image is of household types by the type of the family that shows that the married couples live away from the downtown region, whereas the single parent, one person, and the non family lives in the neighborhood near to the loop. The second image manifests that according to the zoning codes of Chicago, for about 70% of the residential plots are designed for detached single housing that contributes to affordability problem in the city. The market analysis for Chicago housing manifests that the people spend for about 30 to 40% of their income on housing ownership for living in and around the loop. The rates per square feet in Chicago are at their peak since 2012, which contributes to high rental rates, which in turn results into people living into smaller apartments. The image here demonstrates Chicago's 26 industrial corridor, which accounts for 12% of city land dedicated for manufacturing, and out of which Goose Island occurs on the North Branch framework. Due to its location, Chicago had the largest market for lumber. It became the largest lumber district in 1840s and hosted lumber-dependent industries. Till 1860s, more than 200 boats were transported every day. In 1870s, lumber became important for other businesses like construction, furniture, wagon and piano factories. Goose Island was also referred as one of the lumber district and was home to 13 lumber yards. After the fire of 1871, there was a decline in lumber business until 1925 it was only limited to local markets. Before 1990s, the island was dedicated to industrial land use. From 1920s of heavy industry to 1986 to light industry. After 1990s, a mix of commercial and retail use occur in Goose Island, with new residential development along the other side of the island. From 1990 to 2016, we witness a constant need for change from light to mixed land use. Now moving to the second chapter for demonstrating the layers of Goose Island. Goose Island has more of an horizontal development where the buildings in the island ranges from 1 to 9 meters in height, and most of the buildings were constructed in early 1900s. Presently, Goose Island is a combination of industrial, commercial, and public facilities, but there exist some of the buildings that have lost their use and are now abandoned. As of today, the island is open for new development opportunities, which can be witnessed. In close proximity to the island, more than a dozen of abandoned industrial sites can be witnessed. Out of all, there are 4 abandoned buildings in the island that have lost their use since their construction. They are all inclined at the central axis across the public facilities. For instance, Building B was designed as lumberyard in 1935 and lost its use around 1980. The building is well connected with street on 3 sides and share one side with public facility building. There is a hierarchy in the building height, with 3 stories from North Branch Street, then 2 stories, and one from the North Cherry Avenue at the rear end of the site. The building structure was inspired by balloon framing method of construction, in combination of wood with load-bearing wall supported by wooden beams in one direction. The building structure is designed at a grid of 6 by 6 meter, and at the rear end of the building the span changes to 9 meters. Now moving to the third chapter of the presentation, which focus on living needs of the people with considering space as a component to modify as the needs of the people constantly change. In pre-industrial times, the households were integrated with commercial activities. Then, during the industrial city, it experienced an economic growth, which results into a concept of planned cities, where housing and industries separate and move far away. The concept of time-based architecture suggests that the building should be designed in a flexible way so that they can alter when the needs of the people change, which corresponds to the future needs. For that, the building should be designed for first, more than one function like a Daegun house. Second, should be part permanent and part changeable according to the concept of supports by Corbusier. Third, should design with flexibility to demand. From the history, the models were designed that can be flexible and transformable, like in 1911 Frank Lloyd Wright Robbie's House with Open Plan, 1923 by Corbusier with Minimum Home, 1929 Mies van der Rohe for Continuous Space, and Buckminster Fuller for Dynaxium House for mass production, 1964 for Archigram Plug-in City, and flexible model of Nagarikan Capsule Tower. 1972 Italy's New Domestic for Furniture Adaptable Solutions, 2003 An Apartment Space with Variable Doors in Spain, 2005 Dutch architect designs spatial arrangement in Rotterdam with 2015 open house plan on a grid of 9 meters, and today with synaptic buildings for space as a service. As a conclusion to the models of flexibility from history discussed before, the strategies for function transformation are first, the plug-in, where a space can be attached to the surface with modification involving in horizontal and vertical plane. Second, shared space, where all the surfaces are combined at one side and leaves the rest of the space flexible. Third, undefined space, where all the services and shared spaces are combined at one level that leaves the possibility for flexible space at other levels. Strategies for space transformation are first, sum and split, where two adjacent spaces can combine to form a larger space and vice versa. Second, movable walls, easily arranged and reconfigure for new functions on daily basis or in a long time manner. Third, folding, with changing the purpose of the space on daily basis with hiding elements for the function. Different functions may or may not occupy same amount of the space, but no two functions are performed at the same time. The components of space can be designed for sharing different functions with modification. Only one function is performed at one time. There are three elements for transforming function of a space. First, immobile units, which comprises of fixed space, basically of all services like showers, kitchen, and bathroom. Second, infill systems, with variable doors and walls. Third, flexible adaptable spaces, which can be modified on daily, monthly, or yearly basis. For first element, immobile spaces, 12 layouts have been prepared that give user a flexibility to choose their own layout for the placement of fixed space, that is bathroom and kitchen on a grid of 6 by 6 meter. For instance, 3 by 2 meter space is considered for bathroom and an open wide kitchen is considered, which can be modified and the spaces can be altered, but these configuration can help user to choose their own layout. For second element, infill systems, there are 5 different flexible solutions for variable walls and door systems. Demounted panels, folded doors, sliding doors, single leaf and double leaf, and segmented doors. Now moving on to the third element, that is adaptable space component that provides versatility to the space which can be converted for different functions according to users' need to play, relax, work and sleep. These are basically adaptable furniture systems that are now provided by many companies for adaptable solutions. After combining 3 elements of function transformation with 3 types of flexibility, that is, convertibility, versatility, and expandability, a module of 6 by 6 meter space is tested, defining elements and types of flexibility. These illustrations demonstrate convertibility and versatility of space to adapt to different functions like eat and relax. In the same manner, the space can be modified for work and sleep on daily or weekly basis. In the illustrations before, polyvalency of the space is defined, where the space is used for more than one function. The space used for working, sleeping, and relaxing are shared and can be modified. A space that remains multifunctional all day depicts convertibility and versatility. The third type of flexibility involves expandability, where the space can be expanded according to the needs of the user. In this design, it gives an opportunity to expand in 3 ways. For a unit to be flexible, it should be convertible, versatile, and expandable. There are 2 illustrations for transferability of a space. The fourth part of the presentation focuses on planning a flexible, human-oriented space which can be modified on daily, weekly, or monthly basis. For Building B, structural grid of the abandoned building is combined with the flexible space module of 6 by 6 meter. Modifications are done where the part of the building is restored and the rear end of the building structure is extended in order to redesign the building to adapt to different functions. On the ground floor, the structure of the first block, that is 3-story, is restored and designed as a flexible free multi-space where the people can rent the space they require for a particular activity, which can be separated with the use of variable walls and door systems. At the rear end of the building, where the span was 9 meter, it is divided by the addition of new members and are designed as flexible living and working combination typology. On the upper floors, the building structure is restored and extended at the rear end of the building and designed with units at the periphery of the building with wide and open flexible space in the middle. The flexible space is inspired from the Maruyama House in Tokyo, where the units are placed and rest of the space is shared that defines public and private, individual and collective, personal and shared spaces. It is a building section with multifunctional space that reveals the flexibility of space to study, eat, meet, play, or share. A horizontal section from the first block of the building. The structural elements for building transformation majorly comprises of 3 elements. First, addition of new structural members for extension of the structure. Second, addition of a floating floor on the top of the existing floor that will provide acoustic and heat insulation to the building. Third, introducing new openings in the existing roof as the facade is load bearing. The structure, when combined with old and new elements, work as a one system for the building, a combination of wooden, load-bearing members and a concrete floating floor. The overall visualization of the building in order to compare what is new and old. The architectonic elements in the project include the first, open courtyard, a place to relax. Second, where corridors are flexible convertible space to perform different functions. Third, the multifunctional space which can host any function. View from the courtyard between the building, defining spatial relationship with each other element of design. For experiencing the building, the multifunctional space. The terrace connecting the buildings with a view of the city. The flexible corridors. The building surrounding view from the street. Now the question arises is what next can happen from its past to present and what will be the future, whether the building is flexible to undergo any transformability or even reverse. A research done by Elma Dumisabak on transformable buildings suggests that the building is transformed in terms of spatial and its technical reversibility. The unit space of flexible 36 square meter can expand or shrink or replace, which can further give spatial and technical reversibility. The flexible module is expandable or shrinkable, with system of its infill systems to reverse and disassemble. The design of the building is a response to changing needs of people. The project tries to form a circular life cycle of the building and proposes that the building should be designed to provide flexible solutions for any function. By this approach, future proof architecture can be created. Thank you.